Having a private school education with big league football in a city that's doing that, so we're blessed. We just want to get to work.
Well, are there any parallels between the way you recruit the player to Miami now versus the way you were recruited? And I know Miami's Miami, but just with the mechanics.
I wasn't very highly recruited, you know what I mean? Not by Miami. I swear, Michael Irvin. That's what he. I remember being on my official visit, thought I was going to get, nice royal treatment and whatnot. And man, it was one of those feelings like, brother, you better come here. We're going to kick your butt. It's that easy. That's the way my recruiting was approached. But recruiting has changed. But I was recruited by very passionate coaches that made me come to practice. They made me watch. Hey, are you attracted to this? And watching Jerome Brown and Greg Riccozzi take each other and throw each other, knock each other back and just about going WWE style on each other. And Michael Irvin and Benny Blades staying after practice and running one-on-ones looking like a Super Bowl overtime matchup. You can go on and on, Winston Moss and Brett Perriman and Brian Blade. I mean, it just was unbelievable. So I was attracted to that, and I felt that the guys in the locker room that made that team go, they loved that. They weren't caught up in anything else but that type of culture. And so part of our plan is we get people there to watch us train, work, to see if they really are attracted to that, because that's what it's going to take to be part of our program.
How often would you say you made those trips? Because you were local. I mean, when you were in high school.
Every opportunity. Yeah, I was completely addicted to watching Miami football. I would sneak into everything I could possibly get to just to watch and see and feel and hear and get close to. I remember coming up on those guys, Dan Cilio, guys like that, Danny Stubbs, Joe Meyer, George Meyer. It goes on. Paul O'Connor, who we saw the other day, it was Cleveland Gary, Alonzo Highsmith, who we have in the building now. Alonzo still looks like he can play. So it just those things were like magic. That's what I want to be a part of. And that was a game changer experience for me. And now I feel the not only the obligation but the motivation to provide these guys with the same type of game changer, life changing experience.
You mentioned you don't tweet your way, you don't t-shirt your way, and maybe don't turnover chain your way to success. And in this atmosphere, in this environment of kids nowadays, and Instagram, TikTok, and everything, how do you get them to buy into, not necessarily the old school thing, but let's work? Do you think that these kids, when you get them there, that they're very willing to do that, and maybe that's something that hasn't been tapped on by a lot of people?
I think like anything else in this world, it's about people. Whether it be your marriage, your home, your business, your football team, it's about people. Got to make sure you focus on the right ones, and then help create an understanding and a system of communication that can't be broken. If there's no communication, that's when things can go sideways. But also understanding that social media is a way that young people communicate nowadays. It's almost like they talk like that. You and I right now speaking they do it here. So I don't get offended when I see people communicate like that. You just want to make sure that what's being put out there resembles and reflects the principles and values of the program. That's the biggest thing. Let's not tweet, I'm number one, we're going to kick everybody, because that's not the case. Let's help. Let's push one of our teammates and show, hey man, really proud of our guy putting in extra work. Here's us in the community doing this. This is our academic achievers. This is a video of us working out. Let's emphasize the things that make things better as opposed to proclamations and predictions.
But the idea that the kids don't want to work sometimes, do you think that's just completely blown out of proportion?
Oh, I think so. Who said it? Frank Martin last year. He said, young people haven't changed. Adults have changed, right? I mean, come on, man. Sometimes adults get upset when a young man, a young lady makes a poor decision. Well, look at the examples set by adults all over the place. So who really is to blame, right? So all we focus on is teaching, man, and getting better. You have to identify people that want to be part of a regimen that demands the most of them. And if they want to be about this life, they have to buy into being about this life. And I think one of the best things I've ever seen was the breakdown of the Super Bowl rosters. Did you see that? I broke down the amount of 5 stars, 4, 3, 2, and how many guys were, more than half I think, were 2-star, no-star guys. Is that magical? Did someone miss an evaluation, or did others just choose to work? It's hard to tell, but somewhere in there is something about doing things a certain way to a certain level to make it a reality. So we like to say along those lines.
Mario, how did you put your staff together, knowing the recruiting aspect, but wanting veteran coaches, wanting guys you trusted?
Sure.
How tough is that a mix to put together? And then could you speak specifically on Charlie and your relationship kind of with him?
Oh, he's a tremendous professional, elite human being as well. We wanted guys that had the experience at the championship level, both, if possible, both the NFL and collegiate football, but guys that were super high-level professionals that could connect with young people and that were willing to consume themselves with their craft and understanding how important Miami is to myself and the rest of the city and the community. A lot of these guys, they had maybe not the so great experience of playing against Miami when Miami was really good, so they know what Miami is when Miami is done a certain way, and I'm very confident in them being able to help us develop to get to the right levels that we need to. And the other part is they had to be able to get along, and those were conversations that were very open, honest, right to the point. You were a head coach here and you were a head coach there, but you know what? You're going to coordinate, you're going to co-coordinate, and those guys were nothing but awesome. Like, no task is too small for them, and that's what makes it great. We were patient. Everyone's real antsy. Hire now. Why don't we hire? Why do we have two coaches? Well, because the real good ones, it's almost like fishing, right? If you want to go get really big fish, you got to take your time and be patient and put something out there that's worth their time. And so we were very fortunate and very blessed to have them.
Going back to your playing career at Miami, you were there, I know, in the heyday of the Miami FSU Rivalry.
Yes, sir.
What have you told your players about what it was like to play in those games in that time period? How excited are you to be back in it, even if maybe it's not now what it was at that moment in time?
Well, right now we're addressing us. There'll be a time to address that. There's no other point in being anywhere else but where our feet are right now. To me, personally, that was always the greatest rivalry in sports. Always was. The intensity, the caliber of player, the caliber of play, the physicality, and of course the dramatic, turns of those games were incredible. In terms of our team, our focus is right now. What time is it right now?
10:53.
It's 10:53, so we should be winding up our skill instruction and our team conditioning right now. And so our focus will be what we're going to eat right after this, and then getting to class on time and taking those steps and being focused on that. And just focusing on the Miami Hurricanes. The one team that could beat Miami is Miami. So let's make sure we don't beat ourselves by not doing the things that we're supposed to be doing.
Are you concerned at all as far as NIL, just with what's going around with recruiting and people saying that some schools are cheating and stuff like that, and ensuring that doesn't seep into your program? I know John Ruiz has been at the forefront, and he has said that the NCAA was there. He didn't say it was anything bad, but how concerning is that to you, all of it, just the whole NIL thing, NCAA, John Ruiz, people talking?
I think we have extremely prominent alumni that are awesome supporters, and everything we do at Miami is compliant, and everything goes through compliance. So on this side, there is no concern. I think when, it's obvious we've had some. It's July, so signing day's a ways away, but there's a lot of momentum, and I think recruiting has become very noisy. It's become like a season within itself, right? And fans and people are very passionate about it. So I think there's always going to be noise surrounding any kind of upswings or downs, and so I don't worry about that. I really don't. I just worry about making sure that we continue to work at being the best that we can be.
I'm sorry, Mark. The former players that you are really close with, a lot of those older guys, are they going to be allowed? Would you like them to be on the sideline during games, and how can that help?
We do, and we're working out a system that makes it doable, because there's a lot of local guys, and you want to be able to make it work and be respectful, and you have to establish a system. I think we're the only team in the country where they have their own suite, right? It's incredible. You guys should stop by there. I'm sure they have great food, unbelievable place. So we need to take care of our alumni. Our alumni needs to always feel how much they are appreciated. Because I know a lot of us played at Miami because of the alumni. Like catching up with Randall Hill the other day was unbelievable to me. Seeing Darren Handy, who, him and my brother worked together on the force over there in Metro Dade for the last 25 years. Unbelievable. Greg Mark stopping by, connecting with Dan Cilio, doing his radio show the other day. Alonzo back in the building. Got guys like DeMarcus Van Dyke, Mike Rumpf in the building. I mean, Roland Smith being part of our program. This is really, these guys live and die by Miami now, so we want to keep reaching out and getting our guys to come on back, and their families. It's important that their families see what they were a part of and what they helped build. So game day, you guys, I know they're working on exactly the processes because it is pretty extensive.
Back in the day, Miami players like yourself took pride in the fact that you didn't have to have the best facilities, and it didn't matter. And now, like with the arms race and college athletics, does that change anything about how guys approach it and how different that is?
Well, I think it does, because back then there was a facilities gap, but it wasn't as drastic as it is now. Now they've created places for training and development that are insane. So I think now, as opposed to just facilities, I think now families and prospects view it as who's really invested, right? Is my son going to be able to get in a float tank and a hyperbaric chamber or cryotherapy? Is he going to be able to have a mental health specialist on site in case he's going through something? Are they going to have a sports psychology team to untangle any mental cramps he may have in his game? Is their strength and conditioning department, what are their certifications? How are they applying sports science? What type of GPS system are they using? How are they measuring accelerations versus decelerations and high impact loads versus low impact? How are they doing that? So those things are important because they all relate to development. And if you're invested in development, you can have much more trust in a place.
How did you saw yesterday the proposal about the transfer portal windows? Just what were your initial thoughts on that? Out there?
I think structure of any kind and parameters are always good because it lets you and allows you to operate in a certain way, and you don't want to. You certainly don't want to restrict. You just want to be able to. You want to be able to organize. Nothing worse than getting surprised. So, but I think it should apply to everything. I really do. Coaches as well.
The ingredients of a winning team, a championship team. You look around your locker room or the practice field and go, yeah, I think the ingredients are there to be a coachable champion this year. Or you look around and go, it's going to take a few years of me being here before we can make. I just
think it's a cardinal sin to talk about being a champion and just making proclamations without ever taking a snap of a live game. I don't think you ever set yourself or your team up for something like that. The process is what the process is. There's no way to get to point B without going through all the steps that come to point A, and there's a lot that goes through it. So I'm not. We feel very confident that we're going to do the work that it takes to be a successful program. And that's where we leave it at. We don't get into the other stuff. By that I mean maximum everything, maximum effort, maximum time investment, maximum attention to detail. Maximize your ability to get and travel to a place and get your guys into their meal room, into their activation stretch, to their walkthroughs, to their meet, and in bed early enough where they're getting the proper rest. Every detail of the program has to be max effort. So,
how did time with Nick get out? Was the last question for Coach Cristobal? How you set up kind of the recruiting infrastructure of your program?
It was impactful. I thought the recruiting structure with Greg Schiano was, I thought that was super impressive. Now I think people fail to realize how what a drastic turnaround Rutgers took under him. Are you? You were there, huh? Man, that was impressive, right? Upon arrival, 1-11, 1-10. We had been beaten by a couple teams, really good teams, FCS teams, but certainly that learned a lot from him. Learned a lot. As a graduate assistant, learned some things out there in Alabama as well, and just keep learning.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you.